Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all the respected dignitaries, distinguished speakers, honorable participants, and the loving audience, all beautiful people present here from all around the globe. I, Ms. Nada Ratkovic, IIU Board Member, Country Director, IIU Croatia, the President of Research Center IIU, and the co-founder of IIU Europe, welcome you all to the training session on a very interesting topic, the importance of Bloom's taxonomy in the curriculum. From our expert, the research person from Bangladesh, Professor MD Shahriar Parvez. Learning and growing together by sharing knowledge and experience with IIU Research Center and unlimited access to knowledge in IIU Research Center. Learning, growing, sharing in science, technology, innovation, research. So, let me first introduce our great organizer, International Internship University, a leading virtual education system and global brand confederation, which is the most valuable and trusted worldwide and well reputed in delivering innovative programs. Globally, it is a trusted name for quality training programs and is committed to provide better and virtual education to all the young learners of the globe. IIU is metamorphosing the conventional education system by cutting down the additional costs, providing access to more than 1,000 plus courses, internships to their e-learners across the globe with the help of its hundreds and thousands global educators. In a short span of time, IIU has spread its wings in the 195 countries, 6 continents, under the strong leadership of its visionary founder, Mr. Piyush Pandit, Sir, a committed and inspiring social activist, a passionate educationist from the last 2 decades. Be the change with IIU. IIU Research Center is a unique hub establishment also by International Internship University. It is giving opportunity to the researchers, authors, educators, students, scholars across the globe, and it enhances the research opportunities, academic excellence, real-world problem solving, knowledge creation, and dissemination. The high caliber global educators team is dedicated for it. IIU Research Center is a careful consideration of study regarding a particular concern or problem using scientific methods. Me, Professor Nada Ratkovic, as a president of IIU Research Center, thinks if you have ever thought about how would be the world without education, research, science, innovation, technology, or any development of anything, then the IIU Research Center is the right place for you. We today are talking about, and we are here today in a place where our great educators are able to share their knowledge and experience around the world. Educators inspire new innovative ideas and attempt to set up quality education for the future generation. So the focus of education we know is 2030. We want to increase and expand the access, inclusion, equity, quality, learning outcomes of all levels within a lifelong learning approach. Today we have an amazing guest. We have an amazing researcher, and today he has an amazing topic, and he will explain also the goals of the vision of 2030 because his topic is very important. Education can change the way you look at yourself and the world. A good education is the key to a successful life. Education has the power to make this world a better place. So, yes, you can change the world with education. Our topic today is the importance of Bloom's taxonomy in curriculum. Our first step before we are going in the classroom needs the Bloom's taxonomy. Our lessons needs the Bloom's taxonomy. We need the verbs understanding, remembering, analyzing. The lower outcomes and higher outcomes. So today I have Professor MD Shahriar Parvez, a founder and COO, Professor of Tourism, Economics and Ethics. Professor MD Shahriar Parvez, academician and researcher at the Development Economist. He's a award winner. He's a social activist. He's an inspirational, motivational, and conference speaker, advice, and think tank, fashion critic, writer, editor, author, chancellor, gold medalist, value creation, PhD research fellow, MDS, MBA honorary doctorates at social, knowledge, and humanitarian. And he has his organization, Independent Perception and Research Hub, IPRH, in Bangladesh, and his designation is a founder and COO. Welcome, respected professor. Enlighten us with your speech, with your great topic today.
Namaste, India, and give my gratitude to Professor Nada, who actually invited me this kinds of platform, and it's my honor that IIU Research Center actually inviting me in this kinds of wonderful session. And I give my gratitude to the chairman and founder of IIU, my dear respected brother Dr. Piyush Pandit, and I give my salam to all of the Muslim world and Bangladesh viewers who are actually seeing me from Bangladesh, and hello to all around the world. So now today is the session already. Our Professor Nada already said yes, Bloom's taxonomy on curriculum. So may I request that I want to share my slides now, if you permitted me. Yes.
Yes, Professor, you can. We are waiting for you and for your great speech and presentation.
So I think it's visible to everyone.
Yes,
So this is my simple name, that is Shahriar Parvez. I'm nothing. I'm a simple person, as like you, as like the whole population. So now already Professor Nada said about me. I'm not describing this thing. These are my affiliation. Forgot about it because we need actually the presentation here. So now today we have the presentation session that is called the importance of Bloom's taxonomy in curriculum. And here is the focus point, that in a Bloom's taxonomy, the tertiary education and the impacts of Bloom's taxonomy in curriculum for the sustainable future education. So now we come to the point that the higher education. So what is actually the higher education? So the higher education is actually a qualification that can lead to increase the earning potential, a wide range of opportunities, and a more rewarding in career. So no matter what your circumstance, it could be right choice for you. So the point is here that earning potential is the main perspective. Now come to the point that in a educational qualification level, because if we want to talk about the Bloom's taxonomy, then at first we must talk about the educational level at first. So now in a educational level, we have the entry level. So in the entry level, there are some example like entry level awards, certificates, diploma. So what they give you the basic knowledge and skills, ability to learning in everyday situation. Now come to the point, in level 2, there are GCSE grades. So there is the basic knowledge also. In the level 3, you have some GCSE grades A, then also you have some diploma certificate, and it also give you the understanding of subject, ability to do variety of tasks with some guidance of supervisor. And also in level 4, you have different types of diplomas, certificates, and higher education, and high apprentice. So what do you see? You see the specialized learning. Also, it gives you the level of information and knowledge in the area of study. Now, come to the point in the level 5, you have the HND, you have the diplomas, you have the foundation degree and diploma higher education, and it gives you the ability to increase in depth of knowledge and understanding. And in level 6, you have the basic degree, you have professional graduation, and also you have some certificates awarded by the institution. And what do you give? A specialist higher level of knowledge of the work or study. They allow to see you your own idea and research in response to complex problem and situation. In level 7, you have the master degree, you have the postgraduate certificate. So it is little bit higher, developed and complex level of knowledge. In level 8, you have doctoral degree. Then also it is the opportunity to create something new. Now come to the point what we need, why we need the Bloom's taxonomy. In a Bloom's taxonomy, we have total 6 domain. There is create, evaluate, analyze, apply, understand, and remember. So who is Benjamin Bloom's? American educational psychologist. He actually created Bloom's taxonomy in higher education or thinking of higher education in a order and contribute to the research in the masterly learning. So it's a master class actually. Now, in a Bloom's taxonomy in 1956, Benjamin Blooms headed a group of educational psychologists who developed a classification of level of intellectual behavior important in learning. And during the 1990s, a new group of cognitive psychologists led by Lauren Anderson, a former student of Bloom's, updated the Bloom's taxonomy in for the 21st century. Now come to the point in a Bloom's taxonomy. Sorry, this is the original consequence of cognitive skill was knowledge and also comparison, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. And the framework was revised in 2001 by Lauren Anderson and David, yielding that revised Bloom's taxonomy. The most significant change was removal of synthesis and adding the creation as the highest level of Bloom's taxonomy. And being at the highest level, the implication is that is the most complex or demanding cognitive skill, or at least representing a kinds of cognitive task. Now come to the point in a Bloom's taxonomy, there are major 3 domains. So in a cognitive domain, psychomotor domain, and affection domain. In a cognitive domain, you have the mental skills, that is knowledge. What do we know? In affection, we have growing in feelings or emotional area, that is called attitude, and how we feel. In a psychomotor, we have manual or physical skill, that is how we do. So what do we know? How we feel, how we do. One of the main important tasks is that under these 3 domain, the most critical domain actually the affection domain, because it is related the emotional area of any student, which is very difficult. Now come to the point in Bloom's in 1956, Anderson in 2001, in Dave 1975, then so they are the actually they are the creator of these 3 domain, and they changes these 3 domain according to their psychological behavior. Now come that in cognitive affection, and psychomotor. In cognitive, we have some subdomain that is called remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. Also, in affective domain, we have also some subdomain that is receiving, responding, valuing, organizing, characterization. In psychomotor, we have also some subdomain that is imitation, population, precision, then naturalization. Now come to the point that the relationship between these three domains. So this is actually the relationship cognitive, affective, then cognitive psychomotor, then cognitive psychomotor and affective domain. So what's the main thing? Main thing is knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. So this is the Bloom's taxonomy, how they can actually shift it from the old version to the new version. In a older version, we observe that there are the knowledge, comprehension, application, analyzing, synthesis, and evaluation. In the new version, we just observe that it is remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. So you see, there is a change from the older version and the new version, that is evaluation and creation. So Bloom's actually invented the older version, and after that, it is revised as a new Bloom taxonomy in 2001. Now come to the point, the original Bloom's taxonomy actually in 1956, that is
Professor Parvez, really apologize what I interrupt you, but please can you try to turn your camera and open because we don't see you. We have problems with the camera. Your
yes, I also see this that
yes,
the camera is automatically actually doing this. So
yes,
it is not
yes.
actually in my hand. If the slide is okay, then I just
Slide is
continue the
yes.
slide.
Everything other is okay. Yes, that's
Okay, I think I should continue it because the slides actually important for me, not
yes.
my
Okay,
videos.
no
Yes,
problem.
yes,
Thank you.
yes. Okay, thank you so much for your concern. So now come to the point that the original taxonomy in 1956, it is actually related with some domain that is called knowledge. It involves the recall of specific and universal, the recall of method and processes, or the recall of the pattern, the structure or setting. Now come to the domain that is called comprehension, which refers to a type of understanding or appreciation or apprehension such that individual knowledge what is being communicated and can make use of material or idea being communicated without necessarily relating it to the other material and see its fullest implication. Also, another point is come that is called application, so refers to the use of the abstraction in the particular and concentrate the situation. Also, in a original Bloom's taxonomy, we have another subdomain that is called analysis, which is represent the breakdown of the communication into its constitute elements or the parts such that a relative hierarchy of idea is made clear or the relation between the idea expressed are made implicit. Also, in a synthesis, it involves the putting together of elements of the part so as the form as a whole. So in a evaluate, we just in a judgmental procedure. Now the point is here in a original Bloom's taxonomy, they are actually offering this thing that in a original Bloom's taxonomy we are also see that there are six types of subdomain is here. So in the six types of subdomain we observe the Blooms actually want to say that how we can implement it in our study. From first we have the knowledge, then from the last we have the evaluation. So remembering to evaluation, there is a process, there is the process actually made by the Blooms. So Now come to the point that in the next slide, in a cognitive domain, uh, in a cognitive domain, we have see that knowledge is power. How can we feel that? We feel it that in a cognitive domain, we have in a original Bloom's taxonomy, we have actually knowledge, comprehension, application, analyze, synthesis, and evaluation. Like we already see these types of slides that the knowledge, comprehension, then application, analyzing, synthesis, and evaluation. In an original domain to the new domain, it is the changing the Bloom's taxonomy in 2001 by the student of the Professor Blooms, that is creating the remembering, the knowledge just created, remembering, then understanding, then applying, then analyzing, then evaluation, and at last the creation. So as a faculty, as a teacher of any institution, of any university or college or school, you must understand the psychological pattern of your student. So that is called the remembering. So at first we just applying this thing that yes, from our just play group to nursery to class 1, class 2, class 5, our primary school student, they remembering the textbook. Then after that they understanding, after that they applying, then they analyze, then they evaluate, and also they create. Now if the audience, if you just remember that from the beginning of this slide, we just started that we have the starting point with the educational level, level 1, level 2, level 3. So this level actually related with the Blooms. Level 1 related with the remembering. Level 2 is understanding. Then level 3 is applying. And after that, in level 8, that is called the PhD scholars or the master's scholar, the MS scholar. They actually getting the point of creation level. So this is how the Professor Bloom's actually the psychologist actually thinking that how this taxonomy actually applying in our curriculum, in our primary education, in our secondary education, also in our tertiary education. Like actually I'm working with the tertiary education so long, like almost 15 to 18 years. So within this time I am just observing that most of the case in a classroom session, those who are actually faculty, those who are teacher actually saying this presentation from now, they are actually thinking that what we do at our first class, we just give a text to our student and our student just remembering, and we just take an exam, and what's the result? We just see, yes, what is this, what is this, what is this? So my student write, yes, this is this is this is this, and we just uh, questioning them that what can you do, how can you do this thing, how can we do this thing. So this type of question actually totally prohibited in a Bloom's taxonomy. I will say this thing in later. So now you just understanding this thing, because this is this type of lecture actually, these are actually the master class. So because when I was actually working with the World Bank in a HECAP project or in the IQAC cell, I was working on a Bloom's taxonomy with my student, with the institution. Now come to the point that in 1.1, 1.1 means we are now in the Bloom's taxonomy domain number 1, and it is the subdomain that is called recall or remember. The ability to recall or recognize item, information, the idea. Just think about it. Define, recall, write, select, underline, level. Can the student recall or remember the information? This is one question. If your student do this, or if they know how to do this, then they are actually getting the level of Bloom's taxonomy 1, domain number 1, and subdomain number 1, that is called 1.1. And after that, 1.2, the comprehension, ability to show understanding of idea, that is expressing the idea in own words or transforming the alternative form, that is interpret, classify, explain, summarize, then discuss, then translate. Can the student explain the idea? If you think you are the teacher, you are the actually the mentor of your class. If you think that yes, your student actually getting this thing, then yes, your student now touching the level of the subdomain number 2 comprehension level of the Bloom's taxonomy. Now come to the point in apply. So ability to knowledge an idea in order to meet the demand of the situation or the problem, which are new to the learner, that is predict. Now your student predicts something, then demonstrate, then solve, then modify something, then operate something, then execute or implement something. So can the student use the information in a new way? If they could or if they can, then as a faculty, as a student, as a faculty, as a teacher, you understand that yes, your student touch the level of apply of the sub of the domain of the Bloom's in a cognitive domain of the Bloom's taxonomy. Now come to the point, the analyzing part. Ability to deal with the situation while elements have to be analyzed and restricted before a revealed idea can be applied. So break down, categorize, conclude, then diagram, creating the diagram, also the flowchart, also separate, discriminate. So they can order, classify, discriminate each and everything. If they can, if they distinguish between the different parts of a machine, then yes, your students are in actually in the part of the analyzing part of the Bloom's taxonomy. Now, in the analyzing part, to examine in details, make inference and find the evidence that what the conclusion are, how could you classify, how you categorize, what evidence, what is the relationship between, what is the post feature, how is relate to, why you do think, what is the term, what is the theme, what's motivate is there, can you list the parts. So if your student actually doing this, then yes, they are actually in the touching the level of analyzing part of a Bloom's taxonomy. Now, 1.5, that is evaluate. Ability to judge the quality or value of the material or reference that appropriate the criteria. They can argue now. As a faculty, as a teacher, yes, your student argue with you. They can compare, they conclude, they decide, they demonstrate, they discriminate, they judge, they select, they justify, they measure. So can your student justify a standard or a decision? If yes, then yes, your student actually touching the level of evaluating part. So this is called how this Bloom's taxonomy actually touching each and every level of the psychological behavior of a student. You just understanding this thing. Yes, my student actually touching these kinds of level. Now, your student now become the judge. So yes, they can evaluate anything. So you just come that again we recalling it because this is one kind of master class so far, I think. So we just recalling it that in a Bloom's taxonomy in 1956 to 2001, it is just the revise that knowledge, comprehension, application, analyze, synthesis, and evaluation. So now the remember to understand, to apply, to analyze, to evaluate, and to create. So that is the cognitive revised domain of the Bloom's taxonomy. Why you need this? Because if you want to prepare any curriculum, if you want to prepare any syllabus, then yes, it is necessary for a faculty, for a teacher, for an institution. So now come to the point that yes, this is create. So ability to put idea together in new way that reaches beyond what has been specifically taught. Argue, combine, construct, create, design, plan, formulate, rearrange, revise, generalize, reduce. Can the student create a new product? If yes, those who are actually the science student, if your student creates something new, flowchart or circuit, or those actually from the business student, in economics student, if they just create some new theory, some new idea, some new concept, then yes, they can actually touch the level of the creation. So I think it's not possible to understand this Bloom's taxonomy within this short time, but yes, it is possible to gain something knowledge about Bloom's taxonomy, because this is one kind of master class actually. So you know how to the Bloom's taxonomy work on the education. So now we come that yes, in a revised Bloom's taxonomy, we have remember, under the remember, we have recognizing, recalling, understand. In an understanding level, we have the interpreting, the example, the classifying, the summarizing, the comparing, the explaining. Also in applying, we have the execution, we have implementing. Also in analyze, we have differentiate, organizing, attributing. Evaluate, we have the checking, then critiquing. In a create, we generating, planning, and producing. You see, these are actually the subdomain of revised Bloom's taxonomy in 2001. In 2001, so these are actually the subdomain of revised Bloom's taxonomy. Now, Bloom's cognitive domain, 6 subdomain of cognitive domain from 2001, that are remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluation, and also creating. And this is the lower level learning, and this is the higher order learning. So if you are a faculty of or teacher of primary and secondary level, so these three actually the lower level learning from the primary level to secondary level. If you are the faculty or teacher of a tertiary level, then yes, these are the higher order learning, analyzing, evaluating, creating. I think the audience should understand something about this Bloom's taxonomy, because it's not a thing that in a very simple way I just explain it and you just understanding each and everything from these kinds of little bit session. Now come to the point. Some of the faculties actually said, no, from applying, we can take it in a higher level learning. So there is some argument that yes, in a primary level, we just applying the lower level learning, and after the secondary and tertiary level, we just applying the higher level learning also. Now in a cognitive domain, remembering, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. And yes, support, these two level actually support the student. Analyzing applies, exploring the student, and also evaluate and create. The student should be design something. Now the separate taxonomy of the types of knowledge, yes. So in a Knowledge, there are some types actually in a Bloom's taxonomy, that is factual knowledge and also the conceptual knowledge. And there are some knowledge, that's knowledge of terminology, also knowledge of specific deals or elements. And also in a conceptual knowledge, we have the knowledge of classification and categories, also the knowledge of principle and generalization. And we have the procedural knowledge, we have the metacognitive knowledge in the cognitive domain also, because knowledge is power and power give you the everything. So in a Bloom's taxonomy, at first it is most necessary for a faculty, those who are related to understanding the Bloom's taxonomy, they must gathering the knowledge and also know the types of knowledge. And you see better that in a metacognitive knowledge, you have the strategic knowledge, which is very much important because you must implement your knowledge by applying in the Bloom's taxonomy in a strategically way. So that is very much important factor for a Bloom's taxonomy. Now come to the point that in a Bloom's taxonomy, remembering, understanding, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. These are the words or the action verb we apply in a Bloom's taxonomy. It is very much important for the faculty, those who are actually develop the curriculum or the syllabus, because you must thinking these kinds of word before you applying the level. Otherwise, it's not possible. So in a remembering, you have define, describe. Then in understanding, you have discuss, explain, illustrate. In applying, you have execute, compute, then preparing. In analyze, you have some construct, relate. In evaluate, you have decide, judge, justify, rank. In a creating model, you have rewrite, plan, develop, many things, many verbs, action verbs are there. So you must apply this action verb also in developing the curriculum and the syllabus. Now come to the point that in a Bloom's taxonomy, in a digital planning verb, we have these kinds of verb are there. And you see, there are the remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. Under each of the system, you have different kinds of planning verbs. So in a remembering, you have copying, defining. In understanding, you have summarizing. In applying, you have executing, analyzing, evaluate, and creating. So why I actually elaborate this thing? Because as a faculty, as a curriculum maker, you must think these kinds of verb before you applying the Bloom's taxonomy in the curriculum. Otherwise, it's not possible for the student to understand the Bloom's taxonomy properly. So, this is one advice from before we planning the that is called before you planning the Blooms in a curriculum. That is when we are green, we are growing. When we are ripened, we are ready to rot. So as a faculty, you must understanding one thing. In a Bloom's taxonomy, it's not possible to understand each and every moment, every part of the Bloom's taxonomy. But you always try to be green. Just yes, it's my learning point. I should learn, I should learn, I should learn. Because human psychology, to understand the human psychology is very much difficult. Now we come to the point that is called affective or affection. So your attitude is a little thing, but it makes a big difference. So that is the main thing. Is it's your attitude that determine your altitude. So attitude, how can you behave? That is also, or how your student perceive Bloom's taxonomy inside them. That is very much important factor for a faculty, for a teacher who actually relate with the Bloom's taxonomy in their curriculum. Like in an affection model, we have receiving phenomena, we have that is called we have receiving phenomena, responding phenomena, and valuing phenomena. So in a receiving phenomena, we have the awareness, willing to hear, selected attention. In a responding to phenomena, this is active participation on the part of the learner. In evaluating the worth or value of a person attached to a particular object or phenomena or behavior. So, as a faculty, you must understand this thing before you start the Bloom's taxonomy in your classroom. So, now come to the point also organizing the value of the organization prioritize and also relating and synthesize the value in your classroom and characterization which as value the system that controls their behavior. So how your student behave. So as a mentor, you just controlling them with the applying the Bloom's taxonomy in a curriculum also. Like what are the verbs? Yes. So these are the actually the action verb that accept, listen, receive, perceive, associate, determine, beware, judge. These are the action verb of this domain. So if we come to the letter, that yes, receiving, responding, valuing, organizing, and characterization. So that is very much important point in a Bloom's taxonomy that in it is the ladder that from receive, then respond, then value, then organize, then characterize in this affection domain. Now come to the point that is psychomotor, which is another part of the Bloom's taxonomy, which is related with the Bloom's taxonomy. It is a skill related with your student. So action speak louder than words. Some of your students are don't speak in the classroom, but they have their kinetic energy or kinetic power to do something. So they are very actionable. So imitation, observing and patterning behavior after someone else. If your student have that imitation, manipulation, being able to perform certain action by following the instruction. Also precision, refining become more pretext. So also articulation and also naturalization. They can perform become the natural without needing to think much about it. Like I have my little son and when I observing using the Bloom psychomotor domain, I see that yes, now he is the level of imitation. The children who are actually in a primary school, they just imitate what you do, what they think, what they reading, just imitate. So if your student imitate, then yes, they are in a psychomotor stage. So you just think about it that yes, how as a faculty, as a teacher, you monitoring your student by applying also the Bloom's taxonomy inside your classroom. And these are the action verb actually related. So what are the action verb? These are actually the action verb and imitation, precision, articulation, and so these are the action verb relate with Bloom's psychomotor domain. Now we come to the next part that is key point learned. Cognitive, affective, psychomotor. Remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. Affective, receiving, responding, valuing, organizing, characterization. Psychomotor, imitation, manipulation, precision, nationalization. So these are actually relate with the Bloom's taxonomy domain. These are the subdomain of these three main Bloom's taxonomy domain. Now, there is a question that you have 16 options. So in this 16 option, do you know what option your students select for learning. So actually, it's very difficult to know that how my student actually learn. So it is very difficult. We don't know my student are now in which stage, but we applying this thing with the curriculum. So I don't know how you understanding this concept or not, but these are very interesting concept because these are not an easy concept at all. These are actually some practicing concept. So this is one thing that you don't know the destination of your shot. So you as a faculty, you also don't know where your student actually reach from the remembering stage to the evaluation stage. So now come to the point that is called the lesson plan format. So now I think you should little bit learn about the Bloom's taxonomy, and if you planning a lesson plan applying the Bloom's taxonomy, then this is the format your organization or your institution can apply this thing, like title, target population, the learning outcome, that is the most important part of each and every class. So and also what are the content, introduction, conclusion, and equipment. So this is called the lesson plan format. When I was actually work with the World Bank, I was actually applying this thing in my organization, in my institution, in my university. And this is one format of questioning that how can you apply Bloom's taxonomy in your question pattern in the university level. Like this is one course, foundation engineering, and you see here each and every question touch the Bloom's taxonomy verb: draw, show, differentiate. In a Bloom's taxonomy you cannot apply what, how, where, these types of question. What is, what is, no, you can't apply this thing in a Bloom's taxonomy. So in a Bloom's taxonomy you just apply the action verb: draw something, show something, differentiate something. That is the relation of the Bloom's taxonomy. In you can apply it in your question paper. Also, analyzing the question paper, this is the part that how can you apply the Bloom's taxonomy level of cognitive in applying your question paper. Like question number 1, mark 10. So if your student touch, yes, number 1, what is the subdomain? That is remembering. If your student touch this level, then you see, yes, out of 10 they get 7. Subdomain 2, that is called remembering, then understanding. So this is the subdomain 2. This is where you marking question, your question by applying the Bloom's taxonomy in your, if your institution permit it, because it is related with cost, and your institution must related this thing. If it is not prepared for your institution, if it is not capable for your institution to apply the Blooms in everywhere, then it's not possible to capture this idea. So this is the specific way that how can you select it, remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. So this is the way that yes, how my student actually applying this thing in the topic. And you see there are some types of question like multiple question, viva, identification, then matching type, assignment, true false, short question. These are the questioning pattern that yes, my student, these are the questioning pattern of my institution, and my student actually touch these types of question by applying the Bloom's taxonomy. So you can easily apply this thing. And also in a curriculum, in the curriculum pattern, you have the learning outcome, you have the course content, you have the teaching learning strategy, and you have the assessment strategy. By applying the Bloom's taxonomy, you at first in a curriculum, you must write the rationale of the Bloom's taxonomy of your course, that why this course is necessary for the student, what this course actually give them, what the specific knowledge, that is the rational study, applying the Bloom's taxonomy in curriculum. Then you apply the objective of the learning, that yes, these are the objective my student get learned from the Bloom's taxonomy. Then you understanding the learning outcome, then course content. In a learning outcome, you have identify, prepare, assign, different types of define, then explain, format, evaluate. All these are come from the Bloom's taxonomy. And in a course content, you have the assessment type. What type of assessment your curriculum actually made? That teaching strategy, it is like from the lecture, from the exercise, from the assignment, or what type of question actually you assessment, like short question, essay type question, reporting, MCQ question. These are related the Bloom's taxonomy in a curriculum. Maybe your organization or your institution maintain the different format of the curriculum, but these are the thing, these are the material must and must be included in applying the Bloom's taxonomy in your curriculum. Otherwise, your curriculum actually not a suitable curriculum for your student. So that is very much important part to understanding the curriculum level by applying the Bloom's taxonomy. Like why I say so many slides, why I just presented so many slides related to these types of domain, because my objective is only one, to prepare a best curriculum for my student. So this is the curriculum. This is the way that my student learn, that from the first class, my student know what they will learn from this course. What is their learning point? What is their learning outcome? So now come to the part that course plan or syllabus. One thing remember, curriculum and syllabus are not the same thing. Curriculum is a different thing, syllabus is totally different thing. So those in when I was working with World Bank and HECA project, I see yes, in IQCCL there are so many department has the curriculum and syllabus. They don't know what's the difference between the curriculum and the syllabus. So syllabus actually the short form, it is the day-to-day learning, that yes, topic one, how can we apply this topic one from the topic two from your text. We are actually applying in topic three, we solve it in topic four, we use it. In a textbook you easily understand that yes, from the first chapter to the last chapter there are the difference from the higher, from the lower to higher. That is called Bloom's taxonomy. That is called a faculty innovation part, that how can you understand, that how can you plan your course using the Bloom's taxonomy. Then we almost come to the end, that I am creating, evaluating, analyzing, applying, understanding, or remembering. So yes, I think almost you know something little bit about the blooming butterfly. That yes, remembering stays, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creation stays. So this is called the Bloom's taxonomy. Butterflying stays in the wing of the butterfly. That is called Bloom's taxonomy. So it's Monday. So time to sparkling and shine. So if you think that you want to do it, you want it, then fight for it. Don't say, I can't do it. You must do it, because you are the faculty, you are the teacher, you know better than everything from your student. So you can apply the Bloom's taxonomy in your institution, in your class. So uh, thank you for your attention. And this is my contact address. If you have a smartphone, you can just scan it. You can easily contact with me in my Facebook, in my LinkedIn. and everything is given here. So thank you so much for your being attention and with me. I think there are some problem that is technological problem sometime that my that is called camera actually not working, but I'm trying to solve it. uh, it's technological thing, so we are human beings. So it's not a thing for apologize. It is not my fault also, and not the professor another fault also. It's a technological thing. So thank you so much for being attention.
Professor Shahriar, Professor, big clap. This was an amazing speech, an amazing presentation, a great explanation. You explained the whole process of learning in the context of Bloom's taxonomy. Yes, before we understand, we need a concept we must remember. If we want to apply, we need a concept, must first understand that. Then we need to evaluate the process. We need to analyze, to create and a conclusion, and we need to complete it through our evaluation. And amazing. Professor, this was a very excellent session. I want to thank you. Gratitude to you, to my great guest today. Thank you for this day. You were amazing. Thank you so much. I
Thank
want
you, thank you so much for your this kind of wonderful word, because so far I think it's a very the time is, it's a master class actually. The time actually 1 hour. So those who are actually new, they most needs more study on this
yes.
Bloom's taxonomy, because now we are in a global world and we have everything inside our palm top, inside our laptop. So thank you so much for again
Uh,
IIU Research Center for calling me this kinds of wonderful session.
Professor,
Thank you.
you are always invited. You are always welcome because you are an amazing. Each topic, everything what you do, you explain it in detail. And we come to the end because we have a new session. I want to thanks to our great founder for giving us this opportunity to have this amazing IIU, this amazing IIU Research Center. We want to thanks to our great audience, professor. They were with you the whole time. They were writing, listening, and oh, you will see the comments. Excellent. Your grade today is excellent. So we are waiting you to come very soon again with another great and very important topic. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So bye. Stay safe, stay healthy, and now who are here can continue with another session with our Dr. Subrati. Thank you.